I'd like to have Mr. Nitish Midderson, please. Why don't we all join on the stage together? Perhaps we can turn the lights on. Thank you. We have, in addition to Mr. Sumi, Mr. Nitish Midderson, founder and MD of Nazara Technologies, Mr. Bimal Julka, chairperson for the Federation of Indian Fantasy Sports, Mr. Shan Hyunil Son, CEO of Krafton India, and Mr. Manvendra Shukla, CEO and founder of Lakshay Digital. I wanted to quickly go through, and we understand, thank you for your presentation. We understand about Sega, but I wanted to go through and have you briefly explain your organization, your background. So would you like to start, Manvendra?
Hello. Yeah. So my name is Manvendra. I'm a founder and CEO of Lakshay Digital, and we have been in the video game industry developing, providing services in the industry for 21 years now, almost 21. And we are part of a larger company called Keywords, which is the largest game services company in the world. And I've been around for many, many more years than 21. I've been around the gaming industry for about 28 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Bimal?
Yeah, good evening. I'm Bimal Julka. I'm a civil servant basically from Government of India. I'm a bureaucrat who has served in many ministries over the last 35 to 40 years. My last posting was Secretary Information and Broadcasting. Thereafter, I became Chief Information Commissioner. And now for the last 4 to 5 years, I've been working with the Federation of Indian Fantasy Sports as the chairperson, so helping them out in public advocacy and various issues that come frequently. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, my name is Sean. I'm currently leading Krafton's business in India. I started my career as a game designer way earlier. I spent 6-7 years in gaming industry until early 30s. I published games in China, but I switched my career to banking. I spent 10 years in banking, but I came back to gaming industry as a CFO of PUBG when PUBG just got released. Now Krafton, I'm in 8 years with Krafton.
Hi everyone, I'm Nitish Midderson, founder and CEO of Nazara Technologies, which is India's only listed gaming company.
Me again, I'm Shuju Sumi, CEO, President at Sega.
Thank you very much. I thought we'd go through a few statistics, and I'm not sure these are exactly correct because the numbers keep changing, I feel like, daily. Indian gaming market was valued at around $15 billion last year, and is projected to reach around $36 billion by 2030, according to some sources. I've seen other figures, which is a growth of about 14.4% CAGR. As of 2024, India had 591 million active gamers, with 23 million new users added that year alone. And I was really interested to find that the demographic is 55% girls and 45% boys. So we can get a chance to talk about that later. The industry has also attracted a significant amount of investment, almost $2.8 billion between 2020 and 24. And employment in the sector is growing with around 100,000 individuals employed in 2023 and is projected to generate another 250,000 jobs. So this is a very exciting time in a very exciting sector. And so I wanted to give Manvendra a chance here. We were speaking earlier on, you're very positive. You have an extreme, cheerful outlook for India.
Yes, I'm always very optimistic and positive, and at least in this video game space, I have all the reasons to be. Right? And because I feel that India is in the right place at the right time. We have seen the industry, the global industry grow, and we have, at least I've been in the video game space for forever, it seems, and I've seen that India has grown very slowly. But now if I look at the trajectory of growth in the past 3 to 4 years, it is becoming like a hockey stick. And one of the key reasons for that is because now people are realizing that video games is a great career option. Video game development, which was a passion for kids who have now become adults, They want to get into this and make bigger and better games. I mean, just to give you one figure, that globally, media and entertainment industry is about $600 billion. $300 billion out of that is video games. India has a negligible portion of that. In the given scenario, globally, people are looking at developing more content, but industry is going through some crisis, and because of the, I would say, overexposure after COVID. Now, given that scenario, everybody is looking at, okay, where can we make same amount of content, video games, but at a cost-effective pace? And that's where India comes in, because India has, in the past 4-5 years, proven itself that we can deliver at the highest level of quality. But now the question is, yes, there are challenges, and I'm again so confident that in the services space, which is where India becomes the development service hub for the global world, and IP creation is again something where the kids are coming up in a big way. In the past 4-5 years, we have had a few hundred game developers coming in. How much more optimism can you get? Or how much more optimistic can you get? It's just in 3 years, we have more than 500 developers who have come in. Give it another 2-3 years, India is going to be right at the top.
Wow, that sounds very positive. Nitish, you are doing real local Indian, made in India, games. Are you as optimistic from that side of the business?
Yeah, hi. I think, like our Prime Minister said in his last Independence Day speech, that Indians should not just play games, but should make games for India and for the world. And I think that is really the call to action that companies like ourselves should really be focusing on. I think there's a lot of talent pool, and I think eventually, and I think in the fairly near future, you will start seeing significant successes from Indian developers for the Indian market. We've already seen some breakouts, we've seen some games even succeed in the US market from India. But I think that frequency of that is going to accelerate, and new technologies like AI are going to help developers kind of plug any gaps in their, ability to deliver global quality content. So yes, I think the future is great for gaming in India.
Interesting. I know that we were talking earlier on, Sean, because India's kind of in this difficult place where on one hand, there's a game of catch-up, right? You don't have an industry that's just been there for decades, right? You're playing a game of catch-up. And on the other hand, you're actually trying to innovate and do something new, and you have to actually deal with the trends that are emerging with AI and all these new challenges at the same time. So I'm just saying, you come from Korea. Korea actually had to go through this very quickly as well, from the early 90s. So perhaps you could just tell me how that all fits in from that perspective.
Yeah, actually I keep talking about this from different places, but I have a little bit upgraded version or updated version of it. Japan and US and European countries has been the leaders of gaming industry. I think Korea was a little bit behind them, but through the broadband penetration, there was a lot of support and investment from the government that we, at certain point, like late 90s, we came to have very good infrastructure, world-class infrastructure, in which a lot of new gaming companies, online gaming companies has started. I think that sort of technological shift enable like followers can become a leader.
So this sounds like, oh, please.
I mean, as he mentioned, all time in the video game time, Japan, US, and then Europe are leading. And internet time, China, Korea is, coming out. And then mobile time, now Turkey and other, unique countries are coming out. Now AI time, it's really a technological shift is a great opportunity for the new rise.
It truly is. I mean, I think in talking to everybody, I just felt this incredible enthusiasm and feeling of just like go, 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 especially with 5G. This was really a game changer. However, I think that also creates extraordinary challenges for the government. Like I think a lot of people talk about regulation. They walk a very fine line, because you want to allow the industry, obviously, to flourish. And yet you also have many other considerations. Now, I believe, Bimal, you have formerly of the government. I think you were talking to me about how complex this is.
Absolutely. Now, just to add a little bit on the previous subject that we were talking about, I think we are confining our scope of gaming only to maybe the sports activities or video games, but there is a larger gamut of activities which are involved. You see, AVGC, animation, visual arts, gaming, comics. Now these are going to be used even in the film industry. We have seen some films in which the film producers, directors, they are basing their entire theme on VFX, AR, MR, so those kind of technologies. So there is a mammoth proliferation of technology and exponential growth which is happening, which is going to drive the gamers towards, this gaming activity. So that's going to add to the revenues of this industry. Now coming to the issue of regulation, I personally feel, which I think the government also feels, rightly so, that there should be anything, any activity without regulation can be devastating. You see, what has happened is, in the absence of the national framework of policy today in India, the government is still in the process of formulating a policy, and I'm sure it will be a very progressive and progressive policy and optimistic policy. But the fact remains that the individual regional governments, they are framing their own policies, and having spoken to them on one-to-one basis off and on, they are expressing concerns about the psychology of the children who are involved in this activity. So they are very much against it, and I think the collaboration between parents and the children could also be instrumental in the growth of this industry, so that we understand the ethics and morality behind the whole subject. Thank you.
I think that's very interesting. I think we're talking earlier about cultural resistance. So I think we're right in the throes of that, aren't we? We're talking about parents not understanding the possible benefits of gaming. I think that affects how people in college might say, why do I need to be a software engineer for developing in gaming? I'm curious, Utsumi-san, in Japan, in the earlier days, you had a lot of parents are very much about education, and then they see their kids gaming all the time. Tell me, what was that like when you have like the gaming sector booming, and yet you have these parents who are very concerned about education and obsession with gaming?
I mean, people are really, family, of course, the parents are starting to be very critical about the industry. But what's really interesting is nowadays, game is somehow regarded to be a kind of enhanced, like, digital kind of knowledge, and how you deal with the kind of new upcoming technology, and also it's definitely some psychologists is starting to say, hey, actually playing game is going to work out for some stressing, time killing. That's sometimes really good. So of course pros and cons. But people are starting to be very, somehow neutral and somehow very logical. I mean, when the one boom is coming like boom, of course criticism comes. But when the environment being settled, people get a bit, relaxed on criticizing some of the move too.
Did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say that I hope my wife gets relaxed about this pretty soon.
I have an opinion on this.
Let's listen to this.
So I feel that India is where US was 35 years back, which is where children played games, parents were upset, they didn't want them to play games. Then the same children who were playing games but were being beaten up for that, they grow up, right? They make their own money, they buy their games, nobody's going to stop them because it's my own game. Now then they grew up, they had kids, now they were not beating down on their kids because now they also are playing games along with them. So that's where India is today. A few years back, India was exactly like that. Today also it's like that, but it's changing. And which is where now the same kids who 10 years back, 12 years back were playing games, and the parents were objecting to that and didn't like that. That's the cultural issues which were there. The same kids are growing up, and when they're growing up, some of them have are buying their own games. And then they will grow up further and they will have kids and they will buy games for their kids and play with them. So it's a transition which is happening, and I think like in everything that's happening, India will fast track this whole journey of for 35 years of US, that from a kid playing games to playing games with his kids, that will fast track itself. And this, yes, there might be some nuances of cultural issues, but then that is going to change very, very soon.
But I think that, aren't we talking about something like gaming literacy, right? We talk about media literacy. We're not telling people not to look at the media. We're talking about looking at the media and reading the media carefully and critically. So isn't perhaps when you talk about, you've been talking about, like, you're very concerned about, you know, how this is the culture is moving along, and what's the more, you were talking about integrity, you're talking about the, yeah, please tell us more about that.
The responsible gaming is an integral part which is embedded in any gaming activity. You know, Honorable Prime Minister has already set the tone, as you know. Yesterday also he spoke about culture, he spoke about content, he spoke about creativity. Now, the youth in India, they possess massive talent. But at the same time, I think some kind of regulation has to be inbuilt. Now that, it could be a self-regulatory mechanism or it could be a government-controlled mechanism. Now, every industry, there is no sector, whether financial or otherwise, which is not regulated. And I think my fellow panelists might agree also that there should be some kind of a regulation. So we have to have integrity, responsibility, ethics, morality. These are the issues which have to be embedded in the gaming activity.
I think on that cultural resistance, there's another aspect to that, isn't there? And I know that we have capacity building issues, right? We got to quickly get everybody up to speed right away. And we're also seeing, I think Crafton told us, that we're also seeing challenges in terms of encouraging students to actually go into this field, learn how to be engineers. The parents are saying that's not a serious job, you know, et cetera. So, you know, I believe that you were telling me more about that. You wanted to...
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are, from our scale in India team, we have hired quite aggressively for the last 2-3 years. On the product or like engineering side, we try to hire someone from the top engineering school. But we couldn't find too many options, especially going up like the senior level. So, but I think younger generation now starting to find gaming or game publishing or game development as a possible or good career options. But I think compared to Korea, where I came from, so there are a lot of, I mean, maybe 80 or 90% of founders of those listed gaming companies are from top engineering school, you know, doctors or masters or graduate students. So I think in India still gaming seems like seen as a little maybe niche tech sector. I think in Korea or in the US or in Japan, I think gaming is becoming a mainstream. I mean, it has been a mainstream entertainment and also technology tech sector. So I think that's a big gap. So we are trying to change a little bit through starting like incubating program, which is supporting specifically young, small indie team, giving them mentorship and financial support. And also we try to outreach engineering colleges across India by, you know, giving them a perspective that gaming can be a career for them.
Yeah, I just wanted to add what he just now mentioned, that I am driven to just quoting something from Jonathan Haidt's book. I don't know whether you've read it, you must have. That is a book on anxious generations. Have you read about that? There is I mean, it's a phenomenal book where he is talking about, you know, play kids versus phone kids. Now, what kind of age gating mechanism we should have for the children? Should they be below 10, above or below 16? What kind of age gating mechanism? Whether they should be exposed to social media, whether they should be exposed to AI. Now, all these kind of issues, you know, will automatically get dovetailed in this entire policy formulation. And that's what the regional governments are looking at.
I hear you, but I do feel that, you know, what we're skirting around, though, is the capacity development. I mean, we're trying to get India to be at a place where they can really have this turning point. I feel like that's what I'm hearing from all of you guys. You're saying there are things that still need to happen before we really have this tipping point. and so capacity building is one of those things. And so when we talk about the cultural resistance, I was just going to say, I remember in the 90s, the Korean parents were also saying, they shouldn't be going into gaming. So it feels like this is, a clear, trend in every country's development, economic development. But I just want to say that, please go ahead. Did you want to?
I just wanted to add what you were mentioning. It's a very pertinent point. There is also an element of game of chance versus game of skill. Now, there is a psychological barrier that how do you classify a game as a game of skill or a game of chance? This issue is being adjudicated at the senior most courts in Government of India. So that's another aspect, which comes in the way.
Now, I think you don't see things that way at all.
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay.
Because, to my mind, from somebody who's been in this and been in the government side and everything, the whole concept of game of chance versus skill doesn't make any sense. Because the term chance versus skill is being used to differentiate between real money gaming and video games, which is the mainstream gaming. So the only way to distinguish between these two is just one. One concept, which is RNG, which is where we're talking about chance and skill and everything, is where cash in, cash out. That's one concept, where cash is going in to buy something with a hope and a promise of getting back exponential results or some extra thing. Second is cash in, that's it. Which is you're just buying a game, you are purchasing a game, subscription, maybe in-game, you're buying something, or nothing is coming out. The only thing that's coming out is entertainment. So these two are the different concepts. So skill versus chance, to my mind, is an absolute meaningless argument or discussion. It's just cash in, is it a cash in, cash out game, or just a cash in and entertainment game? This is what defines video games, regular mainstream video games. If we say that globally video games is $300 billion or $280 billion. Not a single dollar of that is not regular cash in games only. So this game versus chance is a discussion. Like a little while back, I was in a meeting with a government meeting, and I said we will come back after 10 years and we'll be still fighting about what is game versus chance and skill. We just go on fighting about it, which is making no sense.
Well, actually, you brought up a good point that leads to another point, which is about monetization. I think that still remains a big problem, right? Everybody loves the gaming part. They don't want to pay for the in-app. They don't want to pay for anything, right? And so what do you think will resolve that? What do you think, Nikhil? You just want to say something?
I think, again, it's an evolutionary process. India being a mobile-first gaming nation, starting with very, casual gaming elements, is evolving through that. The propensity for paying has been small, but we can incrementally see it growing. And especially as more relevant, high-quality content is being produced, consumers are willing to pay. So I think it's not something that's going to happen overnight, dramatically, but every quarter, every year, we are seeing it improve, and it's getting there.
Don't you feel we're sort of waiting? I keep bringing up this tipping point. What are we waiting for?
We're not actually waiting for anything. It's already happening. And I would say COVID was one large push to get a lot of people into gaming, even those that were on the fringes or parents or different demographics, right? So I think we are not waiting for anything. It's all happening, but it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. It's just a process that we are following.
And Nikhil, you're also doing something really interesting. We talked about the fact that you're doing games for India. Can you tell us how that's going? Are we going to see some global IPs out there soon, or is it going to take time? Can you tell us what you're doing?
I think in bits and pieces we've already seen that. We have an app called Kidopia, which has been the number 1, number 2 app in the US market for that segment, the young kids segment, for many years, to the extent that Tim Cook of Apple has tweeted about the positive impact of that app. Similarly, we've seen other developers break out. So I think early signs of success has been seen in the last few years of developers making IP in India, which is making it big globally. Again, I think the frequency of these successes will increase as more and more developers, go for that big one. And I think the AI, which I was mentioning earlier, will accelerate this process.
You just brought up the next really sexy topic in this gaming field, right? We just have to go there. I'm going to ask, the most experienced in the gaming here. Tsubi-san, how is AI? Do you want to say anything that you'll be quoted on? How is AI going to affect?
I mean, when the new technology, comes, new business model, most likely is invented. Like Korea came up with the idea of a free-to-play idea. Before that, we didn't have it. I mean, and then, when mobile comes, more like advertising, female, users. I mean, that's a kind of new one. AI, of course, we are using for, efficiency right now. I mean, everybody's using it. But eventually, you'll have a new experience using AI. So everybody somehow, trying to figure out what is it, to find that kind of, solution, and with the business model, that company is
Can you
going to be
give
a
us
big leader.
something a little bit more concrete? You're teasing us.
Hey,
so
I mean,
just give us an example. Yeah, we're not going to say Sega's going to do it, but
Well,
just give us an example of some of the really
For
interesting ways.
example, I mean, like tech company are trying to come up with the perfect AI. I mean, perfect solution, whatever. Maybe game guys, we come up with something non-perfect but really lovable, like even like animal people, whatever. So I mean, like we have certain mechanism to come up with, something like we designed something. I mean, if you remember the game called Shima, Shima is a Sega kind of game. A fish speaks, like in a very strange way, having ugly face, but people somehow love it. I mean, like how you design a kind of a person or kind of animal, whatever, could be a kind of solution. So I mean, sometimes people spend time with AI to find a perfect solution, but sometimes maybe people like to find a kind of solution of like friendship, easing, whatever. It's like I mean, stress out, whatever, friends. That could be the case. I mean, that could be maybe using the nursing environment. So that's one of the examples.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So we have in Krafton we have a couple of games in the market which are trying to incorporate more AI into the gameplay. I think as he mentioned, for increasing efficiency, we're using a lot of AIs in game development. But I think in the gameplay, it's not very obvious yet. But what we are doing is one of the example is there is one game we just a month back we launched a game called Inzoi. It's a
What is it called?
Inzoi.
Inzoi.
INZOI. So it's a life simulation game like Sims from EA. So in that game, we have introduced, not yet, but we have announced it that we will include NPC using AI called Smart Zoe. So it has some capacity issue, means like it use GPU in a significant amount. So we cannot really have like full, environment full of smart Zoes, but we can try 1, 2, 3 smart Zoes around your character, which make things more interactive and more human-like interaction with the in-game NPC. So that's, I think, coming up. Maybe still we have hardware issues, cost issues and things like that, but I think if we can solve it, then gameplay might be very, very different.
You also mentioned to me, though, that AI is going to almost eliminate the need to actually understand how to code on some levels.
That is actually happening a lot in non-gaming sectors, based on my understanding. But I think in gaming, definitely it is coming. So at least I think in terms of like debugging, I heard that it's way, way, way more efficient because of AI right now. So that will happen, I guess.
Would you like?
So the only observation I have is the fact that the game development industry may not necessarily be, for them the AI is not very new. Every game engine which was made always had, I'm talking about, I made the first game engine in early 2000s. a complete 3D game engine, the first one in India. That had a big AI subsystem. The game development itself, all the game developers have been dealing with AI. Yes, today it's far more advanced. It is far more complex and can do much more. The concept of AI and how to use AI in your game development process and pipeline is something which is not new in the game development methodology. So right now for the game industry, it's more about understanding what all I can do with this, not what is this. This has been there for so many decades and years. So I think the challenge here for the game industry right now is understanding the potential and possibilities with that, rather than getting scared about it.
Makes sense. Do you have any thoughts?
Absolutely, I agree with him, but just one point I wish to add. AI is already being used by many fantasy sports developers also. So whatever games they are making, in fact 85% of the games it's free to play. But the fact remains that AI has to be inextricably interwoven with risk mitigation strategies. That aspect should always be taken care of. That's
I think we're coming possibly to the end of the panel, but I'd like to have each of you answer this question. What is that one thing that you think will absolutely change the gaming industry globally? I was talking to somebody the other day about quantum computing. But I mean, is there anything that you feel will just be such a game changer that it could be just starting now, but just sort of it blows up? I'm curious.
I have only one thing which I think will change it, where we start using AI for game design. That will change the whole paradigm of how games are going to be played and felt.
I personally feel that the human skill and the content creation will change the whole shape of gaming activity in future.
I believe, because we talked a lot about AI, so I won't talk about AI. But I'd rather take a contrarian view, because I've been skeptical about AR, VR for gaming. It's been there for a long time. Meta has invested like billions of dollars. But I think eventually it will come. I believe that experience will change how we experience gaming. Now we experience gaming only on screen, but I think we can now enjoy it in the virtual space in a real way.
Yeah, I think it's the same as Sean, immersive gaming through VR, being a character in the game versus playing a game, I think is going to be a game changer.
But then isn't it already existing though, right? We do
It
have.
is, but
What does it need? What would blow us to the next dimension?
I think the devices becoming slimmer, getting into just normal glasses, right? Like what Meta and all are doing now. And I think better content as it becomes more widely available. I think we're again getting there very fast, maybe next 2-3 years.
Well, AI is obviously a big driver right now, but as he said, UI, user interface, like user interface means anything like, like this or, glass or, whatever, immersive experience, whatever. I know I die happily because when I die, I'm wearing a, headset, and then there are lots of friends around me, loving me, I mean, some person can be really beautiful, of course, and then, and my assumption is like, I'm a little bit, how can I say, a perception is a little bit, not good, but that's good. But technology helps to make me happy by, having everything around me. So, I mean, actually UI area is still a lot way to go. So definitely AI, but at the same time, user interface can be really interesting, initiative.
That's very exciting. I almost think like we need a whole nother discussion about that next time up here. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this discussion. I hope you guys all agree. I think a good round of applause for our panel. Really wonderful answers. Thank you so much. Really.